July 12th, 2014. Guys, we're looking at the book of Enoch, and it's a book for the end times, and it's like many of the other books that Rome has taken out of the Bible over years and years. More books have been taken out than remain. But a lot of this is end-time information, and we're in the end times, and this information needs to go forth. Now, this chapter actually begins at the ending of the Great Flood. And in this book, Enoch refers to God with a couple different names, head of days and the head of the spirits. But here he says, after that, the head of days repented and said, in vain I have destroyed all who dwell upon the earth. This is the flood. And he sware by his great name, henceforth I will not do so to all who dwell on the earth, and I will set a sign in the heaven. And this shall be a pledge of good faith between me and them forever, so long as heaven is above the earth. And this is in accordance with my command. He promised he would never flood the earth again. We've read this throughout the Bible, guys, in the Genesis. Now, he repented. He regretted that he had done that. And so what does he say? And why did he create the flood? He did it, guys, because the angels had fallen. And they had seen the daughters of man, found they were attractive, took them for wives, and their seed were born, and offspring, and chaos enveloped the earth with the giants and the fallen angels and the Kenites, the serpent seeds, and that's why he did it. So if he says he's not going to flood it again, he says he's going to destroy it with fire, right? Let's look at what's happening. This is Israel. This is the news. This is the end-time information. This chapter 3, or verse 3, is titled Final Judgment of Azazel, the Watchers, and Their Children. Azazel, remember, was one of the fallen angels, one of the leaders of them that tried to petition Enoch to ask God for forgiveness. Well, God didn't accept that request, and he condemned them. And what he's going to do this time, we're seeing it flare up now, right before our eyes. And let me read this. When I have desired to take hold of them by the hand of the angels on the day of tribulation and pain because of this, I will cause my chastisement and my wrath to abide upon them, said God, the Lord of spirits. That name, Lord of spirits, is important because he is the Lord of your spirit. We are all spirits. He created our spirit. That's the main part of us. Ye mighty kings who dwell on the earth, ye shall have to behold mine elect one. That's Jesus Christ, Yeshua. How he sits on the throne of glory and judges Azazel and all his associates and all his host in the name of the Lord of the spirits. Now, who is Christ going to judge? This fallen angel, his associates, the other fallen angels, and their host, their armies. And this is all led by the synagogue of Satan. Who else? Guys, it's led by Rome. They've created division for centuries upon century, wars, killing, and murder. And now we're going to come down to this very thing again, because we've talked about the fact that Satan does not want your body. He wants your soul. He wants you to willingly worship him. But if he can't get that, he wants you dead. We're going to see a lot of these killing fields. But this particular battle in Israel is a key indicator of the very end times that we're in. And we're about to see some of the wrath of God. Let's move on. And I saw the host of the angels of punishment going, and they held scourges and chains of iron and bronze. And I asked the angel of peace who went with me, saying, to whom are these who hold the scourges going? And he said unto me, to their, listen, who's in judgment? The angels, their associate, and their host. He said unto me, to their elect and beloved ones, that they may be cast into the chasm of the abyss of the valley. Now, would Satan have elect ones? Sure he does. run the great churches. They call themselves his children. And then that valley shall be filled with their elect and beloved, and the days of their lives shall be at an end, and the days of their leading astray shall not thenceforward be reckoned. Never again. It never will happen again, and we're right on the very verge of it. Let me continue. Now the translators subtitled this, "The Last Struggle of Heathen Powers Against Israel. And in those days the angels shall return and hurl themselves to the east upon the Parthians and the Medes. They shall stir up the kings so that a spirit of unrest shall come upon them. And they shall rouse them from their thrones, that they may break forth as lions from their lairs and as hungry wolves among their flocks. And they shall go up and tread under the foot the land of his elect ones." Now, guys, you know what we're looking at. We're seeing these missiles fly back and forth, and it's never been done like this. We've seen these minor skirmishes, but since the Arab Spring, the game has changed with ISIS moving in through Jordan. And the land of his elect ones shall be before them a threshing floor and a highway. We know it will be tread underfoot. But the city of my righteous shall be a hindrance to their horses. And they shall begin to fight among themselves. What is he saying here? The city of my righteousness. He's talking about Jerusalem. Now we know there are Jews there that claim to be Jews that are not and are of the synagogue of Satan. And their main job is to pretend to be Jews, but keep all this stirred up. In other words, they will call for a peace treaty, but then they will go in and start building settlements on disputed territory to create this tension again. Those are the fake Jews. Know them by their fruit. Now what is he saying in the next verse? And they shall begin to fight among themselves, and their right hand shall be strong against themselves. Now we've got Sunnis, we've got ISIS, and there are divisions between the Al-Qaeda leaders and the ISIS leaders. Many are denouncing al-Baghdadi as being the caliph. They're disputing that. But guys, regardless, they are moving. And Joel chapter 2 has come to life with ISIS now burning hundreds of thousands of acres of the Iraqi paradise, where the world's largest olive gardens are, world's largest orange tree orchards are there, melons. It's right on the Tigris River. And just a week ago, Iraq went in and built this huge wall with bulldozers of just a mound of wall. Looks like a huge dam, very high. But ISIS got across it and is burning that land. They've taken that waterway, and they are burning what many call the Eden of Iraq. And they shall begin to fight among themselves, and the right hand shall be strong against themselves. And the man shall not know his brother, nor son his father or his mother, till there be no number of the corpses, through their slaughter, and their punishment be not in vain. In other words, this punishment is just not something that happened out of the air. There's a punishment coming. What could it be? Could it be worshiping false gods? That's what this is about. In those days Sheol shall open its jaws, and they shall be swallowed up therein. That's death. And their destruction shall be at an end. Death or Sheol shall devour the sinners in the presence of the elect. And it came to pass after this. What just happened? The Arab nations have been slaughtered at the gates of Jerusalem. We know that outer area is going to be run down. It will become a highway and a threshing floor. But what happens after that? And we've talked about this before. When the world sees Israel do what's about to happen, defend themselves with an ultimate type weapon, then you're going to see this verse. You're going to see the rest of the world led by the Pope, and they're all bowing to him now, all the leaders that control the armies. They're not going to believe what just happened. They're going to condemn Israel. That's what the Pope's whole plan has been, to get a war started. Actually, it goes back thousands of years in the Roman Church and in the creation even of some of these religions that divide. But guys, now that the world leaders are now all bowing to the Pope and the religious leaders, they're going to cry, we cannot let Israel get away with this. Let's read this. And it came to pass after this that I saw another host of wagons and men riding thereon, and what, coming on the winds? Aircraft, from the east and from the west to the south, all the way around them. And the noise of the wagons were heard. And when this turmoil took place, who ends this? The holy ones from heaven remarked it, and the pillars of the earth were moved from their place, and the sound thereof was heard from the one end of heaven to the other in one day. And they shall all fall down and worship the Lord of spirits, and this is the end of the second parable. Do you understand? Now, some people have taken this particular verse and said it was the return from the dispersion. It has nothing to do with that. This is the Pope gathering the hatred of the world to this point for what's about to happen when Israel is forced to annihilate this enemy coming at the gates. Now, when these kings of the earth rush in there, God's got it under control. And what does he say? He says, and thus the Lord commanded the kings and the mighty and the exalted and those who dwell on the earth, and he said, open your eyes and lift up your horns if you are able to recognize the elect one, Yeshua, if you are able to recognize him. And the Lord of spirits seated him on the throne of his glory, and the spirit of righteousness was poured upon him. And the word of his mouth slays all the sinners, and all the unrighteous are destroyed from before his face. And there shall stand up in that day all the kings and the mighty and the exalted and those who hold the earth, and they shall see and recognize how he sits on the throne of his glory, and righteousness is judged before him, and no lying word is spoken before him. There shall pain come upon them as a woman in travail, when her child enters the mouth of the womb, and she has pain in bringing forth. And one portion of them shall look unto the other, and they shall be terrified, and they shall be downcast of countenance, and pain shall seize them when they see the Son of Man sitting on the throne of his glory. Why will they be seized in pain and downcast? Because they've been lied to by these false religions, saying that Christ has come by this point, that we can intercede for you. They've been, at this point, the lies are over. You preachers that are going along with Rome, and you Jesuit members of his army that go forth to destroy, no longer will that occur. And the kings and the mighty and all who possess the earth shall bless and glorify and extol him who rules over all, who is hidden. Now, guys, stop there a minute and think about this. You're not going to have to tell them any longer about the false religions. They're going to know it, and they're going to bless and glorify him. But what's going to happen? God's patience is over. For from the beginning the Son of Man was hidden, and the Most High preserved him in the presence of his might, and revealed him to the elect, the true worshipers of Christ, that know his voice, know the first one coming as the Antichrist, to rapture those away. And the congregation of the elect and holy shall be sown, and all the elect shall stand before him on that day. And all the kings, listen, all you kings and all you super preachers, and all the kings and the mighty and the exalted and those who rule the earth shall fall down before him on their faces and worship and set their hope upon the Son of Man, and petition him and supplicate for mercy at his hands. Isn't that what the fallen angels did with Enoch, guys? They petitioned him to go before God. What happened? Nevertheless, the Lord of spirits will so press them that they shall hastily go forth from his presence, and their faces shall be filled with shame, and the darkness grow deeper on their faces. And he will deliver them to the angels for punishment, to execute vengeance on them, because they have oppressed his children and his elect. And they shall be a spectacle for the righteous and for his elect. They shall rejoice over them, because of the wrath of the Lord of spirits rest upon them, and his sword is drunk with their blood. And the righteous and elect shall be saved on that day. When? After this tribulation, after these wars, guys. What did Christ say in Matthew, Mark, and Luke? In those days after the tribulation shall you shall see the Son of Man. Not before then. But what does happen before then? Someone stands up. Right? The son of perdition. You must see him. Remember what Paul said. We must see the son of perdition. We're seeing that now. We're starting to see it with the rise of all the world preachers falling to the Pope and all the presidents. And they shall never thenceforward see the face of the sinners in unrighteousness. You got to make it to that point. And the Lord of spirits will abide over them, and with that Son of Man shall they eat, and lie down and rise up forever and ever. What did he just say? And lie down and rise up forever and ever. You will be taken from your physical body. You have to be in the presence of the Lord. Thank God that we will be in that perfect body. And the righteous and elect shall have risen from the earth. When? After all of this. How are you risen? You're not floating around like a butterfly. You're changed into your spiritual body. What did he say? And lie down. He didn't say and lie down and rise up and lie back down and rise up. He said and lie down once. And the righteous and the elect shall have risen from the earth, and cease to be of downcast countenance. You'll be happy, joyful. And they shall have been clothed with garments of glory. Guys, you know what that garment of glory is? What is your garment now? It's your flesh body. What will be the garment of glory? It will be your spiritual body. And these shall be the garments of life from the Lord of spirits. And your garment shall not grow old, nor your glory pass away before the Lord of spirits, before Yahweh. And your garment shall not grow old, guys. That's because your spiritual body is eternal. Amen. It's a heads up for the end times. Keep your eyes on the Middle East. We know we have problems with the border. We're watching that. But all of these plans of man, all of this disruption, God's got it in control, and he's going to quickly shut it down. Amen, and heads up. Be safe.